But let's look at those economic issues. A few months ago, when we were all in Dearborn, Michigan, your network was the sponsor with CNBC and MSNBC, and every one of us were asked, how's the economy doing? Every one of my colleagues said it's doing great. And they gave all the numbers. When they came to me, I know people acted like I was the only guy at the UN without a headset that night, but the truth is I was the only guy on that stage who said, it may be doing great if you're at the top. But if you talk to the people at the bottom of the economy, the people who are handling the bags, people who are serving the food, you get a very different picture because their health care costs are up dramatically. Cost to educate their children are up. And the cost of their fuel has way outstripped any wage increase they've had.
Hi there, I'm Maria Bartiromo of CNBC. On behalf of the Michigan Republican Party and the University of Michigan Dearborn, welcome to the first presidential candidates debate focused on the economy.
Congressman Paul, I think you have questions and concerns about the bonanza in the hedge fund industry, do you?
Yes, I think this is not a consequence of free markets. What's happening is a transfer of wealth from the poor and the middle class to the wealthy. This comes about because of the monetary system that we have. When you inflate a currency or destroy a currency, the middle class gets wiped out. So the people who get to use the money first, which is created by the Federal Reserve System, benefit. So the money gravitates to the banks and to Wall Street. So that's why you have more billionaires than ever before. Today, this country is in the middle of a recession for a lot of people. Michigan knows about it. Poor people know about it. The middle class knows about it. Wall Street doesn't know about it. Washington, D.C. doesn't know about it. But it's because of the monetary system and the excessive spending. As long as we live beyond our means, we are destined to live beneath our means. And we have lived beyond our means because we are financing a foreign policy that is so extravagant and beyond what we can control, as well as the spending here at home, and we're depending on the creation of money out of thin air, which is nothing more than debasement of the currency. It's counterfeit, and it is a natural, predictable consequence that you're going to have people benefit from it and other people suffer. So if you want a healthy economy, you have to study monetary theory and figure out why it is that we're suffering. And everybody doesn't suffer equally, or this wouldn't be so bad. It's always the poor people, those on retired incomes, that suffer the most. But the politicians and those who get to use the money first, like the military-industrial complex, they make a lot of money and they benefit from it.
Thank you, Congressman.
Same question. Should a Dubai company be able to own 20% of NASDAQ, Congressman?
If there's no conflict with national security, certainly yes, they should.
This is the story. Dubai owning NASDAQ. Is there security issues?
I don't think they're a threat to our national security, no, so they would be able to.
Congressman Paul, would we have gone to war in Iraq if we weren't so dependent on Middle East oil?
Probably not, but that should not be a reason. That's an old theory. It's mercantilistic. It's neo-colonialism that you have to maintain your supply routes and your natural resources. But I think there's still a lot of those kind of people around, and they believe, we were told it was about oil and jobs when it first started in 1990, and this is just a continuation of that war. Indeed, this war is a mistake. It was a mistake to go in. It's very costly, and it has a lot of economic ramifications. We're going broke. We have this huge deficit. We're spending nearly $1 trillion with maintaining our empire overseas, and that's a cost. Right now, we owe foreigners $2.7 trillion. No wonder they have money to come back in here and buy stuff up, and then we object. But that has to do with our monetary system as well as our foreign policy. So if we want prosperity, we have to change our foreign policy. We have to live within our means, but we can't maintain a reserve currency where all our greatest export today are paper dollars. We create money out of thin air, and they still accept it as if it was backed by gold. And that is the reason all this money goes overseas, and at the same time we find all this military activity overseas. It's bankrupting this country. And not only that, it's a threat to our personal liberties here, and it's going to be a threat to our economy because we are beginning to live beneath our means. And that is a natural consequence of what happens when you live beyond your means. So we must change our policy both overseas and domestically.
That raises the question, if you were President of the United States, would you need to go to Congress to get authorization to take military action against Iran's nuclear facilities?
You sit down with your attorneys and tell you what you have to do, but obviously the President of the United States has to do what's in the best interest of the United States to protect us against a potential threat. The President did that as he was planning on moving into Iraq and received the authorization of Congress.
Did he need it?
We're going to let the lawyers sort out what he needed to do and what he didn't need to do, but certainly what you want to do is to have the agreement of all the people in leadership of our government, as well as our friends around the world, where those circumstances are available.
Gentlemen, it's so important. Congressman Paul, do you believe the President needs authorization of Congress to attack strategic targets in Iran, nuclear facilities?
Absolutely. This idea of going and talking to attorneys totally baffles me. Why don't we just open up the Constitution and read it? You're not allowed to go to war without a declaration of war. Now, as far as fleeting enemies go, yes, if there's an imminent attack on us, we've never had that happen in 220 years. The thought that the Iranians could pose an imminent attack on the United States is preposterous. There's no way. This is just war propaganda. Continual war propaganda, preparing this nation to go to war and spread this war not only in Iraq but into Iran unconstitutionally. It is a road to disaster for us as a nation. It's a road to our financial disaster if we don't read the Constitution once in a while.
Around the horn, Congressman.
And the point that I think it was Congressman Paul made before, that we've never had an imminent attack. I don't know where he was on September 11th.
That was no country. That was 19 thugs. It had nothing to do with a country.
And since September,
This is one of those 30-second down the line, gentlemen, questions. Polls show that Republicans are known as the party of national security and of moral values. But polls also show that voters look now, at least, to the Democrats to handle the economy. How are you going to win back their confidence in order? Congressman Paul.
Well, first, we have to have a sound economy, and we don't. We're overtaxed. We're overregulated. We work with a currency that is non-functional, and our prosperity is slipping. And we are overextended overseas. You can't have a prosperous economy at home when you're spending all the money overseas. You can't even have a strong national defense if you're spending all this money overseas in wars that we're not winning. So if we want a prosperous economy here, we have to change these policies, and we can't be bailing out farmers and subsidizing ethanol. This is just the wrong way to go. The taxpayers pay for the subsidies, and then they pay for higher prices when they buy the gasoline or buy the food. It never works.
This is a 30-second answer, and the question is, are unions good for America? And please act like you're a member of a union and limit it to 30 seconds. Okay? I'll start with Congressman Paul. Please, we have to limit the time.
The right to unionize should be a basic right of any group. You should be able to organize. You should have no privileges, no special benefits legislated to benefit the unions. But you should never deny any working group to organize and negotiate for the best set of standards of working conditions.
Congressman Paul, do you promise to support the nominee of the Republican Party next year?
Not right now, I don't. Not unless they're willing to end the war and bring our troops home, and not unless they're willing to look at the excessive spending. No, I'm not going to support them if they continue down the path which has taken our party down the tubes. I mean, we've lost credibility because of all our spending, because we have violated the civil liberties of all the American people, and we have adopted the Democrats' foreign policy. Why don't we run on George Bush's foreign policy of a humble foreign policy and no nation building, and don't police the world? Then I'll support
Let me try that by a couple of...
Thank you very much.